Can I intro this for a second? Those of you who aren't familiar with me, my name is Brian Fennell, also known as Bri Guy, and I'm the host of this thing that we're listening to called Wine Unknown. Once again, I get to tell you about all these wineries, all these different types of wines, all these amazing experiences, and I'm happy to do so. I tell you, I'm happy to do so. We're just having fun drinking wine, learning on this journey of wine unknown because it's always something new. It's so many twists and turns and whirls and all kinds of things. And I'm just happy that I get to do that with you guys. So no matter where you're at on your journey, no matter if it's the beginning, the middle, and we know there's no such thing as the end because people are creative. This is the show for you. So today I feel so excited. I feel so excited because we get to talk about Virginia and its wines. Like, have you even heard of or even thought that Virginia was making wines? Well, they are, and they have some really good wines out there. I'll tell you all about them throughout the episode, but hopefully you have like a cup of coffee, some water, or ideally a glass of wine in front of you while you listen to this, whether you're on your commute or you're just relaxing and checking out podcasts. I'm happy to be able to provide some kind of entertainment and information for you. So, without further ado, let's get into this episode. All right, so I'm going to do you all a favor and just skip the history of the winemaking in Virginia because at this point, I don't think any of you really care about that right now. We're just here for the jokes and entertainment. Let's just have some fun, all right? With a little bit of sprinkle of like some education, I guess. We'll figure this out. All right. So Virginia, because the history isn't too rich, so it's not enough to even keep up on. You know, it's just Thomas Jefferson doing his thing. But since then, there has been some AVAs created for Virginia. Like AVAs are like these protected areas by the government saying that this land is dedicated to this and this is what they do. There are only a few of them, but to get an AVA, it doesn't take much. But still, that's still good. It's still good. It's still good. You know, like, what can I say? And once you taste them, but you have to have the lineup. You have to just do a whole tour so you can really see the different nuances behind the different styles and what creates those AVAs. So you're like, oh, I get it. I get it. No, could have had a V8 moment, you know, like VA, V8. All right, you guys aren't rolling with me. It's cool. Let's move on, right? All right. So if you've ever been to Virginia, it's a really nice place. It's so beautiful. It's a nice place. Who's calling me right now? Don't they know that I'm recording? Uh, Such a nice place. The climate is so diverse because it's really extreme. You can get snow, it can get really hot, but for the majority of the time, it's like, it's median. It's always there. It's going to always be at this fine point. It is not like as harsh as other places in the world or in the US. It's kind of just like, all right, it's a beach town. It's a little beach area. So you're so close to the ocean that that's going to always kind of like when it's cold to us, it's warm for the area, if that makes sense. When it's hot or too hot for us is when it's cool or cold for agriculture. It's weird how it works that way, but that's kind of how it works because it takes so long for the ocean to heat up, but then once it does, it retains that and it holds on, and it takes just as much time for all of that heat to go away, which explains the seasons. It's a thing. It's a thing. But outside of that, right? What Virginia is really known for are Viognier, that's a white grape varietal, Chardonnay, and Petit Matin. Now you're going to start seeing Petit Mansing a whole lot more. Like in my wine shop, people are coming in asking for it now, and I'm they're looking at me like, you don't know what it is. I'm like, I know what it is. I just know that in Pennsylvania we don't carry it because it's not that popular yet, you know. But that's just how controlled states work. But it's it's this really floral, aromatic grape varietal that has nothing but deliciousness to it because it's so concentrated. Because like petite, so it's a small white grape. And with small white grapes, oh, I'm geeking out right now. I'm sorry. I just can hear everybody just like, oh my goodness, another nerd. But no, when it's small, it's concentrated. So you're going to get a lot more aromatics, you're going to get a lot more flavor, and you're going to get a lot more taste because it's that concentrated. But you need a lot of it in order to create a whole lot of wine. That's the thing. So you won't see as much because you need more space to plant these vines so they can grow, so you can have a lot more bunches to create a whole lot more wine. Hopefully that makes sense, right? But moving on, so they also have these French grape varietals from as far as reds, as far as Petit Verdot, which is this really floral kind of like red wine or red grape that comes from France. Then you have Cabernet Franc, which has that nice acidity to it, and Tannat. Now, Tannat is more tannic. I guess that's what it says, pretty much. It's just like, I'm tannic. That's why it's Tannat, but tannic. So you're talking about this really bitter, red, dark, grape varietal, and that's awesome. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that because like those like wines that have Tannat in it, and that's spelled Tannat. Like, if you see that, that lets you know that this wine has age ability for decades. So you can just let that just sit. If you're not really into drinking and collector, this is going to age well. If you're trying to pop that bottle right now, then you have to get an old Tannat from like the 1800s. Because that's how it is. It's so tannic that its structure is able to last decades. But something that they also do are like these kind of unique styles. They do sparkling wines in Virginia. They do sparkling wines. They do sweet dessert wines and also hybrid grapes. Like if you listen to the PA episode, all of those were hybrid grapes. I believe if my memory serves me correct, all those were just like hybrids. So Virginia is just really experimenting, finding themselves. And I think that's so cool. Like in America, being able to do that is awesome. I kind of don't like that a lot of these or majority of these are just all French grape varietals because, you know, like Comenier might be able to work. There's so many other grapes that probably could work in Virginia, but they're still in their infancy stage, so they can experiment and like, oh, it works or it doesn't, or this is going to be like the status quo, you know. It's yeah, whatever. I digress. I do digress, but I do think that there's so much room for them to plant different varieties, and then that would help their individual wineries set apart from what's going on and from what everybody else is doing. And that's going to be the breakout moment because one of those wineries are going to figure it out, right? One of them are going to figure it out and that's going to be the thing. Now, speaking of wineries, there are a couple wineries that's out there. There's Barbinsville Vineyards, but they kind of concentrate on Viognier and like kind of other blends. There's RDV Vineyards, and they're still following more so like the Bordeaux, like that Bordeaux, Cab, Merlot, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot, Carmenere, you know, like kind of red blends. But there's Early Mountain Vineyards, and they're like really focusing in on their land. Now, when vineyards or wineries are focusing in on the terroir or their growing area where they plant, that changes everything because it's not so much about the grape itself, but it's about, okay, so what is this land telling us that we need to do? So those are the ones that early mountain vineyards, that's the one that you should kind of keep your eye on to see where they're going, what they experiment with, because they're trying to see what the land is telling them it's going to work with what vines. So that's going to be great. 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 But then you have Brio Vineyards. It's it's like Bordeaux, but it's not. It's just Breaux Vineyard, and they're known for Petit Verdot and Nebbiolo, which is really interesting because Petit Verdot is a French grape varietal, and Nebbiolo is an Italian grape varietal. So when I say like being in America is like really great because you get to experiment with this, with all of these things, with creativity, like Petit Verdot. I mean, in France, it's overlooked. You know, it's just more like a blending grape. It's like, all right, just throw that in. But Nebbiolo in Italy is just like, wait, no, because we're going to take this serious because our land is reputable. So you can't just do anything you want. It has to taste like this. It has to hit this, yada, 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 yada. So I think that's going to be great. If they can get something going, it's going to be kind of interesting because of where they're placed, how close they are to the sea, what's the climate like throughout that vintage. That's going to be pretty interesting. But then they have Norton wines. Now that's going to be pretty interesting. Well, no. I'm sorry. I misspoke. It's Horton. Oh no, I said Norton. Yeah, Norton Wines. But it's by Horton Vineyards. Now, Norton Wines is something that's just, you know what? I'm not even going to get into that right now, just for the sake of time. We'll go to Norton and we'll handle that in another episode. We'll handle that in another episode when it's just focused on grapes, but we're not going to do that right now. But you should, yeah. Just know they are amazing. It's all right. We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that. So all of that is just experimental. They're trying to figure it out. Yeah. So when you want to see a wine making region kind of go through this era of finding out their identity, finding out, all right, this is the thing that's going to work, because then every other winery and potential winery is going to follow suit. Like Kali, we already know you're looking for Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay. That's pretty much what you're looking for when you're there. So this is going to end up going through that, like the Finger Lakes. You're looking for Cab Franc or Riesling, you know, like, so this is an experimental phase because they're so new and so young that just keep your eye on them and try the wines. Try the wines. Like when I was down there a couple years ago, having a blast, just tasting, trying things. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my wine. Just trying things, and I lied to you not, everything that I tried was really good. Really good. Really good. But what made it all so great to me was that the food that I was having with all of these wines, right? So I end up having lamb chops, escargot. I was having this, I don't even know. It's kind of just like this Italian breakfast, BLT to go with this white wine that I was having. It was probably a Viognier. Can't remember. It was a lot of drinking going on. It was a lot of drinking. But not only that, like, all of the food paired really well with the wines. And they were all pretty juicy wines. They weren't wines that was full on astringency or anything like that. Mm-mm. They were all juicy, fruit forward, so you can drink them on. You can have them by themselves, and they were just as delicious, just as amazing. Like wines that you would take a sip and you're like, oh, okay, all right, I see where we're going with this, and then you would carry on with the rest of your evening with whoever you are. So it would play the background because it was like all right, so this is not something I gotta sit there. It's not like a Kendrick Lamar album when I gotta sit there and like dissect and try to understand. It's like oh no, alley got it. Now I can relax and just have the conversation with my friends, and keep partying on. The wines were more so in that lane where it was just fun. They all were just fun. And the artwork design on a lot of the labels from a lot of the vineyards, amazing, amazing. They're clean, they're fun. They're things you look at and you're like, look at that. They're just having fun. It's just a blast. And they're trying to appeal to their demographic, which are younger people that like art. So can't be mad at that. Can't be mad at that. I don't know. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all that I can say about Virginia right now. I mean, like, as time goes on, then we'll have a deeper conversation. But I already feel like you guys are just like, get to the juicy part. And the juicy part was the food pairs. Like, what could I do with these wines? That's what you can do with them. You can enjoy them because they're juicy wines because they come from a warmer climate than they usually are from. So there's a lot more versatility with what you're doing with them because you can have them with food pairings. You can have them on their own. If you're out at the club, you can pull out a bottle of Viognier, pour that up with you and your friends, and now what? You guys are having a delicious white wine at the club. Like, it's just different. It's just different. It's just different. When you move like that, it shows. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode because there's many more. I had fun just telling you guys about Virginia just in general. Like, oh, could you imagine having these wines at the beach? Oh my goodness. Just, like on a nice warm day, you just sunbathing. You have Virginia Viognier right there. Right there. Or Petite Mansing right there. Because that's going to have that sweetness to it. So you kind of feel like you're drinking a Riesling, but not really. But you're on the beach with a volleyball or just sunbathing or reading a book with your sunglasses on and your sun hat, just chilling, enjoying a nice white wine. Oh my goodness. What? Talk about it. All right. I'm having too much fun. Hopefully you guys were having fun listening to this episode. That's it. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. Tune in next episode where I talk about dun 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 dun. We'll figure that out. I'll keep you guys posted. All right. Make sure you go to my website, yobrightguy.com, to check out all of my wine critiques. Make sure that you're on alert for my newsletter that's coming out. Hopefully you guys join it because it sets a little bit differently. So now in the newsletter, we're going to focus on higher price wines and you get the full evaluation of that. You get some history on the culture. Of course, you're going to get a food pairing. It's a bop. It's a bop. It's a nice little community that I'm trying to build throughout that newsletter. And live streams are coming up as well. Just if you don't follow me yet, make sure you follow Bright Guy on Facebook, Yo Bright Guy on what is that? Instagram? Yeah, on Instagram. And just show love. All right. Hopefully you have fun and listen to this and you want to share this with your friends and share this with other people and subscribe and do all that other stuff that people ask you to do. I know that didn't even sound like I cared. So, all right, whatever. Hopefully you had a good time. Ciao.